Okay. Hello, this is Marvin Philippe from the Computer Technology and Software Development program. For my senior year, I will be presenting my hotel API, my do-it-yourself hotel API, about my project. My project collects data from a third-party API from Rapid API, the Booking.com API to be exact. The program will pull the JSON from the API. It will then use JSON to parse it so it can be, well, understood into actual readable text. And then finally, the information is stored into an SQLite database to be stored as the weeks go on. As this was a 2 weeks project, the languages I used and tools I used for this project was the Java programming language using the IntelliJ IDE. Rapid API is where I found the Booking.com API. Is it hosts many other APIs as well. SQLite is the database I used, an SQL database without other complications with using regular MySQL database. And then Windows Task Scheduler to automate the process. For implementations, there were a few things I did need to change. For example, the first API I was going to use was the Asmodeus API, but they were discontinuing the free developer version, so I would eventually need to pay for it, and that wasn't within the project scope. Uh, and for data, we transitioned from one table to a two-table relational style database using the snapshot ID, as you will probably see as you'll see when we go on. Now for finding results, for the pricing side of the project, as we collected data for the hotels, the overall trend we found for the pricing side is that price either tends to stay the same or rise. As you can see, for example, Hotel Sherman, they were one of the few hotels who did rise in price as the weeks went on. But we also see the Lee's Hotel Times Square, the blue line here, stayed the same despite two spikes up near the beginning. It was mostly tried to stay the same. And that is generally the case for most of the other hotels. Either stayed the same with a few spikes or went up in general. For availability, for the most part, it usually wasn't not too many changes for availability. But during one period around July 18th, there was a drop in availability, which causes a spike, as you can see here. But, but for but in the most part, price again relatively tries to stay the same, if not raised slightly. But so far, availability usually tries to stay the same. With when availability drops, the price then spikes. For technical challenges, the Asmodeus API discontinue, as well as task scheduler and administration privileges. There was an issue with uh, running Task Scheduler originally as planned. There was some issue with administration privileges that we didn't foresee at first, but we worked around it. It now runs through the system in the background, so it doesn't need to have administration privileges or for the account to be logged in for that matter. For successes and disappointments, I successfully parsed the JSON from Rapid API. It took me a while to uh, do that, but compared to Asmodeus, which needed token authentication using Booking.com from Rapid API, was actually a lot more simpler with the API key and headers. Successfully automating daily data collection with no task scheduler. As I've said previously, there was an issue with administration privileges, but I was able to successfully work around it. For disappointments, I did wanted to use Asmodeus originally, but we had to switch to another API, Booking.com from Rapid API. And at the beginning, my next disappointment is the lack of time granularity, meaning should have been more specific with recording the time. The very first entry into the two table relational database was just with date and time and not with specific hour and minutes. That was a mistake. I corrected it later on, but yes, that was a disappointment. Project do-overs. I probably would have started with Rapid API, especially since I don't have to deal with the authentication tokens that Asmodeus would have made me have to use. Or I probably would have looked into other options. Perhaps they would have been easier to use or provided more interesting data for the data collection. And again, as I said before, I would have been more specific with date and time, as running the script for data collection to the SQLite database. It needed specific time, so doing two daily runs was a problem if it was only date and not date and time. So I will just started with a more specific date and time uh, implementation from the beginning. And thank you. In conclusion, this program successfully automates data collection from the API, turning raw endpoints and JSON data into structured, usable insights. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions. But before I go, I should also demonstrate the program, the actual code, before I leave. Now, for the actual code, it's not too it's not too complicated. So the program starts. All you have to do is run the program. That's for the automatic. Once it starts, creates the data collection object and a JSON object. This is what we use to parse the JSON file. If we go here, so right here you'll see the URL, the API keys. This is the API key needed to run. The first URL here is to the database. This is a more specific one. These are the headers, the actual URL for the Booking.com API. This uses the API key needed to actually run it, and the Rapid API host. These are all required to run the API party. These are exceptions. This is the method that actually parses through. It also connects to a wrapper class. Some of the results needed to be accessed through a wrapper class, through results. This actually has to be very specific. So instead of the usual naming convention with Java objects, it actually has to be specific to what it is called in the JSON file. So again, this gets total counts for how many entries it got from the actual API run for that program run. This is where we get the list. We put it in, and once you see your run, you'll see the list here printed out at the bottom in this window. Save to database, this simply connects to the save to database method connects to the SQLite database for the time and the SQL uh, queries, the scripts to actually insert into the table here. This is also to generating the keys. This is part of the relational database setup and the snapshot ID. Once that's done, the rows are inserted into the database successfully. Oh, and the regular Java object for the actual recording into the array list. This is also needed. Wrapper class. All right, raw JSON. This is the list. The wrapper class. Get the total count for the total amount. And then save to database. Finally finishing up the program. I'll also do a live run to showcase this. About 11:50. So you see all the entries it got for today. Successfully added data. Now we're going to go to the app. Okay. So I'm going to refresh the snapshot ID. This keeps track of the runs to keep track of how many times it's been done. As you can see, 11:50. This is the run we just did now. And here you'll see all the data collected. Many entries here. The daily snapshot also helps with keeping track of the daily entries. Would have been a lot by itself. Okay. And then finally, Windows Task Scheduler is that. Wait. Okay, Windows Task Scheduler. Here is what automates it. You can see here on the DIY Hotel API. This is created by me. It triggers at 10 p.m. and 10 a.m. every day during the run. It starts the Java bat. It's a bat file to run through command CMD, and everything else is just related to making sure it can run even if the account is not logged in. So I don't need to be logged in. It can be run in the background as long as the laptop is open. So again, thank you for your time, and once again I look forward to your question.